On June 23, 1985, a passenger plane flying from Canada to India disappeared from the sky over the Atlantic Ocean. The crash killed 329 people, including 268 Canadian citizens, most of them of Indian origin. This was not an accident. It was a terrorist bombing. Even today, it remains the deadliest terror attack in Canadian history and the worst air disaster involving Air India. Yet, outside of Canada and India, many people hardly know about it. This is the story of Air India Flight 182. Air India Flight 182, also called Kanishka, was flying from Toronto to London, with onward flights to Delhi and Mumbai. On board were families, students, professionals, people excited for summer vacations, weddings, or just visiting loved ones. But while passengers were boarding in Toronto, a deadly plan was already in motion. A Canadian Sikh extremist group, linked to Baba Khalsa, had planned to take revenge against the Indian government for the 1984 military operation at the Golden Temple. Their weapon? A bomb hidden inside luggage. On June 23rd, around 8:15 a.m., as the Boeing 747 flew high above the Atlantic Ocean near Ireland, the bomb went off in the cargo hold. The plane broke apart in mid-air. Within moments, the aircraft plunged into the ocean. There were no survivors. Everyone, men, women, and children, died instantly. Among them were 82 children under the age of 13. Minutes earlier, another bomb planted by the same group exploded in Japan's Narita airport, killing 2 baggage handlers. That second bomb was also meant for another Air India flight. News of the disaster shocked families waiting at airports in London, Delhi, and Bombay. For many, the wait turned into a nightmare as they learned the flight had vanished. Rescue teams recovered debris and bodies from the ocean, but the scale of destruction was heartbreaking. In Canada, this should have been a moment of national mourning. After all, most victims were Canadian citizens, but many families felt their tragedy was ignored. They said their loss was treated as a foreign problem, not a Canadian one. Even today, survivors and families speak about feeling abandoned during those painful days. Investigators quickly realized this was no accident. Evidence showed a bomb inside. Checked luggage had caused the explosion. Suspicion fell on Sikh extremists living in British Columbia. Over the years, several men were charged, but only one person, Inderjit Singh Rayat, was ever convicted. And that too, only for manslaughter and perjury. The main suspects, including Talwinder Singh Parmar, were never fully brought to justice. This failure of justice still angers families who lost loved ones. They waited decades for answers, but what they mostly got was silence and excuses. Air India Flight 182 was more than just an aviation disaster. It was an attack born out of hate and politics that crossed borders. For Canada, it should have been a turning point in recognizing the threat of terrorism on its own soil. But it took years before the attack was truly acknowledged as a Canadian tragedy. In 2010, a public inquiry finally admitted that authorities had failed to prevent the bombing, even though they had warnings. Today, memorials stand in places like Toronto, Vancouver, Ottawa, and Ireland, where the wreckage fell. Every year, on June 23rd, families gather to remember the 329 lives lost. Air India Flight 182 reminds us not only of the dangers of terrorism, but also of the importance of justice, remembrance, and never forgetting the innocent lives taken. This was the story of Air India Flight 182, a tragedy that should never be forgotten. What do you think? Has the world done enough to honor the victims and learn from this attack? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from history that shaped our world.